You're listening to the Steven Tauriello Show, building a platform of liberty for people in search of truth with a dash of hope and a life worth living. The Steven Tauriello Show. And now, here's Steven.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the show. As always, thank you for tuning in. So, a whole lot of stuff to talk about. The Jim Jordan, of course, you know, this was a fight against the Republican establishment. That's what this is. For the people out there wondering what this fight is all about, this fight is about the conservatives, the patriotic Americans that love this country and see this country in a decline, that see this country going to hell in a handbasket, are trying to get control of their party. And that's exactly what this fight was about. You had the establishment rhinos, about 20 of them, do not want this party to have any type of control by the people. They think that they know what's best. They think they're smarter. And most of all, they don't care being controlled opposition, folks. They don't. They don't care getting slapped in the face all the time by Democrats. They don't care. These are the type of people that have led this country into $33 trillion in debt, that have led this country, your grandkids, my grandkids, future generations, to suffer in squalor while these people are getting paychecks by the taxpayer. And they don't care. They do not care to be controlled opposition just so long as the Washington Post writes a good story about them. The Republican establishment wants to go back to the good old days. They want to go back to where, you know, everyone just goes to work, pays their stupid taxes, and if they make it to the age 60, 65, 70, whatever it is, by the time you can collect Social Security, 80 years old, they want to be able to give you a little piece back. You know, they don't want you to have any of it at all, but they'll give you a little piece of your money back when you're 80 years old and then die. And then they want your kids and your grandkids to continue on to the same process. This is exactly the system you're looking at. If the American people do not get control of this situation and make a course correction. You know, I think it was the great Winston Churchill that said one of his greatest appreciations of the United States is that when the United States is just on the precipice of collapsing, just when the United States seems to be kind of tipping over that cliff, the American people always seem to find a way to pull it back over. Well, I'm sorry, folks, that may have been back then when the American people actually had control of their government, but there is no such thing as a Democrat Party and the Republican Party. It's just a mirage. It's mirrors and trapdoors. That's all it is. It's all a giant system. There is no Republican Party, Democrat Party. It's only the uniparty. And you have a few outliers. And listen, they don't stay outliers for very long. You know, a few years inside the system and they'll trap you. This is why we see this country in this state of decline. Most of all because these people cannot stop spending. They cannot control their greed. They cannot control themselves when it comes to spending. And so what this whole battle for speakership is, there is no good reason why these people would not want Jim Jordan as the Speaker of the House, because the American people wanted Jim Jordan to begin with. You guys remember when the Republicans won the House, Jim Jordan was first on the list. And then out of nowhere, Kevin McCarthy comes and everyone votes for him. It's because it's all part of the plan. You see, these people had a plan before Republicans even won the election. There's a plan to everything. They spend millions of dollars in consulting firms, millions of dollars in pollsters, all the corrupt Washington, D.C. swamp. There is millions, possibly billions of dollars revolving around Washington, D.C. That is why the 5 richest counties in the country all surround Washington, D.C. And so what this battle was the Republican establishment trying to demoralize the conservatives. That's what this is, and we're not going to do it. I refuse to be pushed around by a party that has put this country in a state of decline like this. No family in this country runs their finances this way. Okay, no family in this country gets to just print and spend money as if it's fake, as if it's just monopoly money. Well, it essentially is, since we're not on the gold standard anymore, but that's a totally different subject. These Republicans, the Republican establishment, has allowed the Overton window to move to the left for the last 50 years. Okay? This is why you see religion pulled out of schools. This is why you see the degradation of our culture and our society. This is why you see open borders, a disastrous immigration problem. You know, part of the bill that was in McCarthy's bill right before he got ousted was funding for the border. But you know what they took out of it? They took out E-Verify. That was the only way the Democrats were going to get on board if they took out E-Verify. E-Verify is a system. It's a federal system. It's a database where all employers have to show whether their employees are legal to work here or not. And they took that out. Why would you do that? Honestly, what is the motive of doing that? I can't understand it. So that means that they want illegal immigrants here, and they do. There's no difference between the Republican Party and the Democrat Party, folks. None. It is the uniparty. That's why they call it the uniparty. The Overton window has been moving to the left for 50, 60 years, for decades, because the Republican establishment allows it to happen. Because the Republican establishment is perfectly fine being the controlled opposition, just so long as they get the big steak dinners, they get the big paychecks, they get to do 20, 30 years in the Senate, in Congress, and then they get to, after they're done, go to the private sector and sit on some board seat at Boeing or Lockheed Martin. You know, they have security clearance, so they know they have their connections with the deep state, with the DC swamp, and they just sit and collect millions. Then maybe they'll pump out a book or two. This is the system that they have created for themselves. This is the club, and they're all a part of it. Republicans, Democrats, this is the system that they created for themselves, and they don't like people controlling the system. Folks, these people, the absolute last thing that they want is the American people controlling the system, okay? These people don't want democracy. They talk about every time the people start to get a little traction of their party or of their government, they call them threats to democracy. Who the hell? I am so sick of hearing this word democracy, as these people are allowing the destruction of our democracy for the last 20 years. What are you talking about, democracy? These people don't believe in democracy. If they actually believed in democracy, then they would allow Jim Jordan to be Speaker of the House. When you had hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people calling into their phone lines and telling them, I want Jim Jordan. And what did they say? No. What? No? Who the hell do you think you are? No? This is our Republican Party. This is our country. We fought for it. We paid for it. We bled for it. It's ours. You don't get to tell us no. What, you're scared you're not going to get any of your funding so that your big weapon stock buys aren't going to flourish? Oh, yeah. You know, all this that we're watching right now is all about funding the billions of dollars to all these conflicts that the system has started. Yes, I said it. The system has started these wars. These are conflicts that were all created by the system. The same system that these corrupt Republicans and Democrats, the same system that the Uniparty is trying to protect. And you see it. You see it. This is the thing they don't understand. The Republican Party and the Uniparty cannot see that the American people are on to their game, that the American people are on to their shtick. The American people can see exactly what is going on, thanks to podcasts and shows, thanks to alternative media. Now, because of alternative media, people know the game, and their gig is up. This is exactly why they want to throw Donald Trump in prison for 750 years. Folks, these people are buying weapon stocks knowing that there's going to be big funding bills for Israel and Ukraine. Ladies and gentlemen, that is called insider trading. If any of us, if me or you were to do that, that would be illegal. But these people do it as if it's part of their job description. That's insider trading. We did a show, the last show we talked about, all these Democrats and Republicans, the Uniparty is buying up weapon stocks in the masses. There has been a $30 billion increase into the weapons industry, into the stocks. That's Lockheed Martin, that's Boeing, that's General Dynamics, just go down the list. Raytheon, go down the list. There's a $30 billion increase, and that is Republicans and Democrats both buying these stocks. Why? Because they know that here in a week, there's getting ready to be billions and billions of dollars sent over to these conflicts. That is called insider trading, but I thought nobody was above the law. You see what I mean? It is a system. It is a system, and they do not like glitches to the system. Because you have to think about it. What wins has the Republican establishment given the Americans? What wins? In 50 years, what wins? Religion in schools? Nope. Abortion? Nope. I mean, you could say, yeah, abortion went back to the states, okay. But that's not because of the Republican Party. That's because of Donald Trump. You see? All the major gains, all the major wins that conservatives have gotten in the last 8 years were all during the Trump administration. You're starting to see the bigger picture now? You see the pattern? And what do you know? The one guy that gave this country the best years it's seen in decades, that gave this country and this is the most important part, that gave this country peace and prosperity, is the one guy that these crooks are trying to throw in prison for the rest of his life. These crooks, these people are the crooks. You mean to tell me that Donald Trump is the only one that has broken any laws? Come on, man. And everybody sees it. The American people have known our government politicians and the corrupt bureaucracy to be a bunch of crooks for decades now. But yet it's Donald Trump having to face all these battles, having to face this absolutely weaponized justice system? These people are the crooks. And so, supposedly Jim Jordan is not giving up. He's going to try and go another round, and I say he does. Look, it took Kevin McCarthy, 15 votes? Why can't Jim Jordan go at it 15 times? Do it. Do it. This stuff is driving the establishment nuts. And I'm telling you one thing right now. They are furious at this. But there's one thing that kind of revealed itself out of this whole speakership run, is that the Republican establishment is a lot weaker than they thought. The Republican establishment has showed its open spots and its armor. It's a lot weaker than it appears. And I don't think they realized it until Matt Gaetz came up and removed Kevin McCarthy from his seat. And good job for Matt Gaetz. Matt Gaetz was just doing what the American people want. That's called democracy. The founders gave the House the power to remove the speaker. Okay? And Matt Gaetz stood up with 8 other people and removed the speaker. Why? Because the American people don't like the direction the Republican establishment is taking this country. Why would anybody want to continue down the path we have been going down for 60 years? It's dumb. The American people are sitting here watching the destruction of their country, and what's worst of all is that they're paying for it. So they're paying for the ticket to watch the destruction of the United States show. It's incredible to watch this horror flick of these establishment, corrupt, crooked, insider trading politicians and bureaucrats destroying this country and grabbing fistfuls of money on the way out. And they will sit and feed on the carcass of this country as we all go down, as we march ourselves right into World War III. And so, like I said, Jim Jordan's not backing out. It's a confusing story. There's a lot of conflicting articles coming out of this. As of right now, Jim Jordan said he's going to go in for a 3rd time, 4th time. He's not giving up. But what they want to do is they want to give power to the backup speaker, the acting speaker, this guy, the guy with a bow tie. Listen, I don't know about you, but I don't trust anybody with a bow tie. I don't know what it is. But this guy is obviously a rhino. He is all for Ukraine funding, probably because he probably has a bunch of stocks in Raytheon and all the weapons contractors that are getting ready to get a huge payday once all this funding passes, and have been getting huge paydays. You can't sit there and tell me that for 4 years we had peace and prosperity, and within 6 months of these crooked politicians getting their system back, we're in not one but multiple conflicts across the world with hundreds of billions of dollars. So this is what the Republican establishment wants the continuation of. You ready? So this is what the Republican Party thinks is a win. If they may not say, oh, yeah, we think this is great, like the Democrats do. The Democrats don't even realize this is happening. But the Republicans aren't going to do anything to fix it. You know, they talk about funding. You know what they're going to do? They're going to tie funding to Israel and funding to Ukraine together. And they're going to tie it all in with funding for the border. Why would we send more money to the border? The only thing money is going to do at the southern border is just going to process these people faster. That is it. And the Democrats and the Biden administration know it. That's why they don't care. Go ahead, fund the border. I don't care. That way we can get more of them in here faster. This is the type of stuff that's going on. You need policy changes at the southern border. You need this administration to follow the law. And that's not going to happen. And honestly, I say keep this thing shut down. You know what? I feel better the last 3 days that there hasn't been a speaker in the House than I ever have. Because every day that these people are in office, every day that this Congress is operational is another day that the American people go more and more into debt. Seriously, I say shut the whole thing down and keep it shut down. It is, and you know, for the last few days, we've been talking about how the United States has been funding both sides of this war. And here I got an article from the New York Post. Biden tells Israel not to let the rage fuel Hamas response and cites post-1911 mistakes. So President Biden said America has Israel's back Wednesday while visiting Tel Aviv, but warned Jewish states leaders to not allow rage to fuel looming military operations in Hamas-ruled Gaza, citing the U.S. mistakes after 9/11. Biden also announced $100 million in humanitarian aid for the Palestinian territories of the West Bank and Gaza Strip, and plans to ask Congress for an unprecedented military aid package for Israel. That's what all this is about. It is all one giant system, and the system is there to suck the American people dry of every single dollar it has. There's no way you could be $33 trillion in debt and have absolutely nothing to show for it. What does the American people have to show for it? What? High inflation? Mortgage rates at 8%? What do they have to show for it? So this article just came out. Mortgage rates climbed to 8% for the first time since 2000. Is this the wins the Republican establishment's talking about? These are the wins? This is why we need funding packages? This is why the speakership needs to be handled right now? This is why the Republican establishment needs to get back to work? What? What's the goal? To give people a 9% interest rates on their homes? Because there's only one direction that this establishment has been taking this country, and that is downwards. And so, just like we talked about on yesterday's show, billions and billions, hundreds of billions of dollars are about ready to be spent on all this aid for these foreign countries. It is all part of the damn plan. This giant plan that nobody even knows what's going on is all self-inflicted. The United States has funded every single bit of this, and the Biden administration wants to send $100 million more to the Palestinian government? What? I mean, for what? Humanitarian aid? Was that not what the $6 billion they just sent was for? These people are lying to the American people, lying to our faces, and turning around and funding the entire damn war and funding all these conflicts. And they're sitting there smiling at you while they're diving in and pulling up fistfuls of cash, both hands. So here's an article, and this is going to be happening soon. This is why they're in such a hurry to get a Speaker of the House. So the Biden administration drafts a $100 billion foreign aid package, including money to Israel and Ukraine. Oh, and they're going to throw a little piece to the American people to go to their southern border. So here's an article from ABC News. The Biden administration is drafting a $100 billion foreign aid package that includes assistance for Israel, as well as other top security priorities, according to two people familiar with the details. Ladies and gentlemen, does Israel even need this money? I mean, listen, I say support Israel 100%, but $100 billion? I mean, we're talking about $1/10 of $1 trillion. These people are spending hundreds of billions of dollars like it's nothing, like they're $5 bills. I mean, what the hell, man? Details on the spending request were still being finalized ahead of an official request sent by the White House to Congress this week. One person told ABC News that the bulk of the assistance will likely go toward Ukraine. Oh, Ukraine. Everyone forgot about the Russia-Ukraine war. Yeah, we're still holding up that government too. So while others also said that it included $10 billion for Israel, the official spoke on condition of anonymity in order to discuss details that hadn't been announced yet by the White House. The request comes as President Joe Biden travels to Israel in a show of unity with the Jewish state following the brutal October 7th attack on civilians by Hamas terrorists from Gaza. On Capitol Hill, Senate leaders suggested Tuesday that such a sweeping aid package would find support among lawmakers. Of course, they all bought stocks. They all bought stocks in the energy sector. Democrats bought stocks in the cybersecurity infrastructure. And they all bought weapon stocks. So of course they're happy. Lawmakers are probably thrilled. I would be too. Think about that, folks. You have 100% complete control of the stock market. So you get to buy stocks and then pass a bill that funds those stocks. This is exactly what we're doing. That's exactly what's happening. Quote, we'd like to see the supplemental package moved as quickly as possible because the needs are great in both Israel and Ukraine. Really? I mean, I just don't get it. Do we not send billions and billions of dollars every year to Israel? How much money have we sent to Ukraine? If we give Ukraine, another 80 billion? Is that what they said, or 60 billion? You're talking about almost $200 billion to Ukraine. Is this not shocking to people? $200 billion to Ukraine? And nobody even knows what the plan is? What is the plan? To just fund Ukraine indefinitely? And then $10 billion for Israel? So we're talking about the United States essentially funded this entire world war. So Republican leader Mitch McConnell said he would support funding aid for Ukraine and Israel and that he expects the administration to include money for border security too. Oh, wow. I wish the Uniparty, I wish the Republicans and Democrats were this obsessed about securing our own country, securing our own borders, and helping our own country than they were foreign countries. I'm serious. These people are so obsessed with other people's countries. They're wearing pins. You see, they wear all these countries' pins on their jackets. They're starting to look like a walking billboard with all the damn pins that they got on their jacket. They got the Ukraine flag, the Israel flag, Palestinian flag. Where's their American flag? Where is the support for America? Where is the security for the border? I mean, what the hell, man? You have Americans drowning in this country, and these people are 100% committed to foreign countries. This is exactly why the American people did not want Kevin McCarthy. This is exactly why the American people wanted Jim Jordan. So Bloomberg was first to report the $100 billion total. My God, man. My God. So just to add a little cherry on top about how the corruption in our government works, Josh Hawley leaves Joe Biden's $400 billion man speechless and looking like a deer in headlights after exposing potentially pay-to-play scheme during Senate hearing. Here, listen to this exchange. So Senator Josh Hawley performed a major service for America after exposing a potential pay-to-play scheme involving Joe Biden's $400 billion man during a Senate Energy and Natural Resources Committee on Thursday. Here, check it out.
Mr. Shaw, can I just follow up? I didn't understand your answer to the ranking member or to the chairman. Did you say, so you do attend dinners with industry leaders where they pay to see you speak? Was that a yes or a no? I didn't hear.
No, I attend many events, some of which I'm invited to speak at.
And they don't pay. They don't pay.
And many don't pay, and some are like paid conferences and others. But one of the things.
Wait. That was a yes and a no. So let's just go back. Do you attend events where people pay to see you speak?
I have attended where people pay to attend the event.
Do you think that's a good idea?
I think it's important for us to meet potential applicants, American innovators and entrepreneurs who want to scale up their technology.
Applicants for loan programs?
applicants for DOE funding.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. You think it's a good idea to go to events where people are trying to get federal money and they're paying to see you?
They're not paying to see me.
I thought you just said you spoke at events where people paid.
Not to see me. I mean, I'm not that important.
You're the... Wow.
Real funny.
You'll learn new things every day. What's your title? You're the director of what?
Of the Loan Programs Office.
You're the director of the loan programs for the federal government, Department of Energy. People who want to get loans from the government are paying to see you, and you think that that's fine? That's not a rhetorical question.
There you go. Speechless. Yeah, this is the system. This is the system I'm talking about. This is the bureaucracy. This guy right here. He is the lead manager for the loans at the Department of Energy. And they call him the $400 billion man because he essentially has he has access to $400 billion for part of the green energy, this climate change initiative. And essentially what's happening is lobbyists and special interests and donors all across the country, mostly entrepreneurs, that want to start up energy companies or own energy companies but need money, will go pay to see this guy speak at a dinner or whatever. You know, these fancy steak dinners, you know, the ones Republicans are so proud about. This is why they don't want to hand over the party to the conservatives. This is what they don't want to lose. So all these entrepreneurs, these people will pay millions of dollars to go see this guy speak at a dinner party. And then the guy in return gives them loans. You see, that is the system. This is the type of stuff that's happening in Washington, D.C. This is why we're $33 trillion in debt. And we, the American people, you, the American people, are drowning in inflation, high interest rates, credit card debt. Oh, yeah. But I guarantee you, this guy isn't struggling for money. Why would he? When he's probably making millions of dollars off of entrepreneurs that want to get a loan from you. Loaning your money out to the entrepreneurs. It's, So Shigar Shah, who serves as the head of the Energy Department's loan program, was left looking like a deer in headlights, as Hawley noted, and completely speechless at the end of his testimony after the Missouri senator exposed how he was attending pay-to-play dinners with energy industry insiders. There you go. That's the system. That is the Uniparty's precious system. There you go. And we exposed a lot more of it on yesterday's show. If you didn't listen to it, go back and listen to it. I show you how all these congressmen and women are all buying heavily into war stocks right now. Mostly energy, cybersecurity, but mostly weapon stocks. Why would they do that? Why would all these Congress people and all these people in government all of a sudden buy a bunch of war stocks? Buy a bunch of weapon stocks? I don't know. Maybe because they know there's hundreds of billions of dollars coming down the tubes. You know what that's called, right? Insider trading. But it's illegal for me and you to do that. Didn't they send what's-her-name off into prison for doing that? Insider trading? You see how it works? It's rules for thee, but not for me. These people can conduct insider trading, but the American people can't. All right? So there you go. We can do this all day. I can go through example after example on how the system works, exposing this corrupt system that the American people see, and the American people are trying to stop, and the American people are trying to get control of, but the Uniparty Washington, D.C. establishment will not give control back to the people. If the founders were alive today, they probably would declare war on these people. This is exactly the type of stuff that the framers were terrified of happening, was a rogue, out-of-control government that no longer has the best interest of the people, but the best interest of themselves, benefiting themselves while allowing the people to suffer in squalor. Same stuff happened in ancient Rome, too. The Western Roman Empire fell on exactly the same basis that we're watching right now, on exactly the same events between the disparity in the citizenry, the overspending, inflation rates, the devaluing of currency, too big of a military, their military spread too thin throughout battles, and corruption. Just go down the list. We meet every single criteria of the Roman Empire right before it fell. You just had the Janet Yellen, the Department of the Secretary of Treasury, come out and say, oh yeah, we can afford multiple wars, no problem. And then Joe Biden comes out and just confirms it. Absolutely. We are the superpower. We are the most powerful military on the face of the planet.
Are the wars in Israel and Ukraine more than the United States can take on at the same time?
We're the United States of America, for God's sake. The most powerful nation in the history, not in the world, in the history of the world. The history of the world. We can take care of both of these and still maintain our overall international defense. We have the capacity to do this, and we have an obligation to. We are the essential nation, to paraphrase the former Secretary of State. And if we don't, who does?
The famous last words of the Roman Empire. So we definitely have some major weaknesses. We are the weakest now than we've ever been in this country before. Ever. I've never heard of this country being this weak before. You have a divided government, and not in division in a democratic way, but a division where you have a system versus the people kind of situation. You have a division amongst the people, a division amongst culture, religion. You have a depleted military, and just look, we are weaker now than we ever have before, period. And this is what drives me even more nuts. There was a trio caught on video ripping down Israel hostage posters in NYU campus. So young people were caught on camera on NYU's campus tearing down posters of hostages in Israel-Hamas war, prompting social media outcry and calls for the university to hold the perpetrators accountable. We are seeing massive uprising of these terrorist sympathizers, Hamas sympathizers, literally supporting the attacks on Jews. One could actually call these people real Nazis, because that's what Nazis were. Nazis were people that hated Jews and wanted to exterminate them. There is no difference between that and what we're watching right now from these people in the college universities. These Hamas sympathizers, these people chanting, gas the Jews, death to the Jews, and from the river to the sea, Palestinians will be free, which essentially stands for eradicating Israel, because you have to in order to have, freedom from the land, from the river to the sea. They're Nazis. They are supporting the extermination of Jews. This is a big problem in this country. And this little situation with the savage attack on Israel just forced all these people to pull the mask off and just show the whole world who they are. The Democrats have a actual real Nazi problem in their party. These are not MAGA supporters. These are not people wearing red MAGA hats. I'm sorry. They're all Biden-voting, radical leftist Democrats that are supporting the terrorist attacks on Israel, that support the extermination of Jews. Oh, yeah. So Democrats got a real problem there. So these three people can be seen outside NYU's Tisch Hall in videos circulating social media, ripping down dozens of posters which have been plastered across the Big Apple to shine a light on those who have been kidnapped since Hamas attacked Israel on October 7th. This is very disturbing, man. It really is. You must really have a lot of hatred for the Jewish community to rip down posters of hostages. You don't even want these hostages being rescued. You don't even want the faces of these hostages being known. You must have a serious level of hatred for Jews. And how much money do you want to bet that these people are all Democrats? I will bet you a paycheck. So we got a real problem in this country with the anti-Semitism. Real problem. And I didn't even realize it was that bad. I knew there was a lot of anti-Semites, and I knew they were all in the Democrat Party, but I didn't know the Democrat Party had this big of a problem with anti-Semitism. I mean, you're talking about colleges and universities all across the country. You have uprising in major cities. You actually had an insurrection on the Capitol. Yeah, that's right. An actual insurrection. So here's an article from the Gateway Pundit. Hat tip to Jim Hoft. Pro-Palestinian leftists interrupt and shut down Senate hearing. Where the hell is the FBI? Where is the Capitol Police with clubs and pepper spray? So pro-Palestinian protesters stormed the U.S. Capitol on Wednesday. The mob stormed the U.S. Capitol, shut down the rotunda, disrupted the proceedings, chanted rip down pro-Israel signs, wandered the halls, and tussled with police. At one point, the protesters shut down the official proceedings of the United States government. Hundreds of Trump supporters were arrested and jailed for this crime. One radical pro-Palestinian Jew hater, Huwada Arif, was arrested after she interrupted the Senate proceedings. Republican grandmas were sent to prison for 2 months for much less than this. So where the hell is the FBI? Where is the Biden's DOJ? And where the hell are the armed Capitol Police with pepper spray and clubs? I don't know. Pretty weird how that works. But I thought justice was supposed to be blind, folks. I thought I thought there was supposed to be equal justice. How is it that you can have people, hundreds of Trump supporters being arrested around the country, being hunted down like we're in some freaking Nazi Germany back in the 1930s, like we're in freaking West Germany, a literal manhunt for Trump supporters for going into the Capitol that are being arrested, prosecuted, and thrown in prison for years. And then you have pro-Palestinian Hamas terrorist supporters that go into the Capitol building, disrupt official proceedings, and know nothing. Supposedly, there was like 300 people arrested. But where is the media calling these people insurrectionists? Why is it that the media has so much power? Why is it the media has so much power over the narrative? How is that possible? For the next coming weeks, you will not hear the media, the leftist Pravda media, say one word about this. Because these are their people. These are the anti-Semites. No, the media is not going to come after these people. These people will not be insurrectionists. They will be rowdy supporters. That's what they'll be called. When the leftist media, when the Pravda media does have to talk about this, they're going to call these people, oh, they're just peaceful protesters. I'm telling you, this is exactly what they did for BLM and Antifa when we watched cities burn for an entire summer. You know, when people were out there being murdered, when you had buildings being burnt down, police precincts being taken over, police cruisers being firebombed. Oh, they were just peaceful protesters, folks. But no, people that walk into the January 6th Capitol building for 30 seconds are now spending months and years in prison. Them people are called violent insurrectionists. People need to realize that all this division started because Donald Trump won the 2016 election fair and square, and the Democrat Party could not accept it. That's right, the Democrat Party are the OG election deniers. These people have been denying elections for as long as I can remember. But 2016 is what really broke these people, because Donald Trump won fair and square, beat their prized Hillary Clinton, just the patriotic woman that loves this country and, donates all her money to charities across the world. And they were pissed off. They wanted Hillary Clinton. They did. And they didn't get it. And so what did they do? They completely destroyed this country. This is when these people lost their freaking minds and they could not get a grip on their emotions. They went apoplectic. The media and the Democrat Party combined forces. We used to have a media that actually spoke truth to power, that actually spoke against the Democrats and the Republicans. They were actually the people's media. The people could actually trust the news. They can trust these people to give them honest news. But Donald Trump broke these people. Donald Trump essentially justified these people to pick a side. Because honestly, the media probably wanted to they probably wanted to be biased for a long time, but it was never acceptable until Donald Trump came along, and then it justified these people picking sides. They were like, oh, look, now we can pull off the masks and just show our bias now. And so now the media and the Democrat Party, this is known. Like, everybody knows which media outlets are for which party. You have CNN, MSNBC, Joe and Mika, ABC, and just go down the list. 95% of the media is all run by the Democrat Party and the corrupt Washington establishment. It is not news. It is a propaganda outlet for the administrative state. That's what it is. All right? And these people wanted Donald Trump gone so bad that they lied to the American people. They pushed false stories. They fabricated stories. They just made stuff up whole cloth. And they said things like, oh, people familiar with Donald Trump's thinking. What the hell does that mean? Nobody knows. Oh, sources say. Sources say. Oh, really? What sources? Oh, no, I don't know. And then it turns out that it's all fake and a lie. You guys remember when they said that Donald Trump called soldiers losers and suckers, right? 2 weeks before the election? Oh, that was a lie. You guys remember when Donald Trump colluded with Russia? Well, that was a lie. You guys remember when Donald Trump was impeached twice for what? Oh, nothing. Just lies. All lies. These people have been lying since 2016. And this is when it all started. All this madness started back in 2016. These people are the merchants of chaos. They like chaos. They create the chaos so that they can control the situation. They call conservatives the merchants of chaos when it's the conservatives trying to get a hold of their freaking government, man. They are the stability to this country because they see these people absolutely destroying their country, and they know they have to fix it. The American people, the patriots, the conservatives of this country know that these people are running their country off a cliff, and they know what needs to be done. But for some reason, the uniparty, the corrupt establishment, will not allow democracy to take hold. They will not give their government back to the American people. That's exactly what this fight was about. There's so much more stuff we got to talk about, but I'm running out of time. Let me just go into a few more things here. We talked about Josh Hawley absolutely exposing the loan manager for the Department of Energy. That was actually pretty concerning, but that was just a little peek in how the system works. And every chance I get at exposing this corrupt system that these people want to keep control of, I will call it out and I will share it with you. Just like we did on yesterday's show with all these corrupt politicians and congresspeople buying up weapon stocks days and weeks before massive funding to weapons manufacturers. The insider trading. We talked about the mortgage rates going up 8%. That's great for the American people. Oh, but let's not worry about that. We should definitely send funding overseas. We should definitely send funding to Ukraine and Israel. Oh yeah, that must come first. Not the high interest rates on the mortgages. No, we can't do that. So you have this going on. I'm a little bit concerned about the whole free speech battle here. The battle of free speech is upon us, folks. We are watching countries all across the world essentially banning free speech. They're banning social media platforms. And Elon Musk pretty much came out and said, I'm sick of it. I'm not even going to allow X, formerly known as Twitter, in the EU. So X platform may leave the European Union over Digital Services Act. Elon Musk is tired of the push for censorship coming from Brussels. This is an article real quick from Paul Siren. The platform X, the new Twitter, may be in collision course with the old world. As the European Union rolls in its censorship policies, it was inevitable that X would be a big stumbling block to their designs. Once fact-based information that contradicts globalist propaganda is for the most part censored there. In recent weeks, Elon Musk has once again started suggesting that Twitter would no longer be accessible in Europe. The move would come to avoid the new Orwellian regulation enacted by the European Commission. Yep. So Musk is increasingly frustrated with having to comply with the Digital Services Act. According to a person familiar with the company, the Tesla billionaire who acquired Twitter, now called X, a year ago for $44 billion, has discussed simply removing the app's availability in the region or blocking users in the European Union from accessing it. This would be similar to the way Meta is currently blocking people in Europe from using its new app, Threads. The Digital Services Act went into effect in August, requiring large online platforms like X to now have effective and transparent systems in place for the moderation and removal of false, misleading, and harmful information. Translation? They want to censor any dissent from the authorized propaganda. like they have been doing all this time. That's exactly the reality that Musk vowed to change upon buying the vastly overpriced Twitter. Yep. So there is a massive move for censorship all throughout Europe. These people are terrified. It is one giant system. What has happened is this system, and it's not just the United States, it's the globalists, folks. It is all run by globalists. The whole damn plan is all set forth by the globalists. And when I say plan, I mean these wars are part of that plan too. These people are playing these wars like a chess game. All this is orchestrated. All this is created. This is all self-inflicted by the globalists. They have a plan, and it is important for people to try and step back and get a 10,000-foot view of everything. Because I'm telling you one thing right now, this administration right here is the most destructive political force this country has ever seen. And not only is it destructive to its own people, but this administration is going to walk this country into another world war. And we are talking global annihilation. These people will not stop until the entire damn thing is destroyed. And that is exactly what we're going to start seeing here. You guys seen Doug Mackey. Doug Mackey got sentenced to, I think 10 months or a year in prison for a meme about the 2016 Hillary Clinton election, where he essentially, you guys have probably heard of the story, Doug Mackey created a meme, and on the meme he said, to vote for Hillary Clinton, text this number. And obviously it was like a parody meme. Like there was no victims, nobody called the number, nobody even went through with it. I think everyone pretty much understood that it was a joke. No. The Department of Justice arrested this man, and he was just convicted. They were asking for 10 years in prison for violation of people's rights. Go figure. Violation of people's rights, interfering in an election, exactly what all these people in the Department of Justice and attorney generals and attorneys and prosecutors are doing to Donald Trump. All these people across the country in Georgia, New York, Michigan, Washington, D.C., they are all violating people's rights, people's voting rights, by interfering in our federal elections, our presidential election. That is exactly what they're doing, so every single one of these people should be charged accordingly. I'm serious. Donald Trump wins this election, and he will, because the American people are onto this. The American people see exactly what's going on, and I'm telling you right now, this system is going to put up a fight unlike anything we've ever seen. The closer we get to the election, the more it looks like Donald Trump is going to win, the more desperate this system is going to get. And they will burn the whole damn thing down to prevent the American people from getting their country back. I promise you, things are going to get wild, really wild, because this is a system. You're talking about people that have committed crimes. You're talking about people that will be going to jail if Donald Trump wins. People have committed crimes in this system, in this elite club that they created, and you're not invited to. These people in this club have committed acts of criminality, and they are terrified of Donald Trump winning because they know every single one of their asses are going to be brought to justice. And that's exactly what needs to happen. All these attorney generals in Georgia, New York, Washington, D.C., and Michigan, every single one of them need to be charged and arrested for violating people's rights by interfering in our federal elections, because that's exactly what they're doing, and everybody knows it. They're doing it in broad daylight. They want to sit there and pretend, oh, this is just justice. This isn't justice. Everybody can clearly see you are weaponizing the justice system. If you are using the justice system to get a desired outcome, that is called weaponizing the justice system, okay, to get a desired outcome. That is not how justice is supposed to work. It is not guilty until proven innocent. It is innocent until proven guilty. But these people, like the DOJ, Jack Smith, are all leaking materials to the media, because the media is part of the administrative state now. They're leaking materials to the media so that they can what? Influence the election and poison future jury pools. The same thing that they put a gag order on Trump for. So everything that they accuse their opponents of doing, they themselves are doing, have done, or plan on doing in the future. It is the rules for radicals. Saul Alinsky, accuse your opponents of what you yourself are guilty of. And that's exactly what we're watching. And so Douglas Mackey got sentenced to, I think, 10 months, but they asked for 10 years or something like that, or he got sentenced to 2 years. I can't remember exactly what it was. For a meme, folks, a meme. So we're watching our First Amendment rights be incrementally chewed away, one case at a time. And Donald Trump is the creme de la creme. If they get Donald Trump on any of these charges, any of them, that would essentially be the death of our democracy, because they essentially weaponized the justice system to interfere in our elections, to sway an election, and it will be a death to our First Amendment right, because by essentially arresting Donald Trump, convicting him, and sending him to prison for the rest of his life because he said the election was stolen, which we all believe it was stolen because we were there, we seen it. They want to throw him in prison for the rest of his life. If they get away with this, they have set the precedent to where anybody that questions an election could now be charged, arrested, and convicted and sentenced for challenging an election. That's what we're looking at. That's just in the Washington, D.C. case. So listen, we got a rough road ahead. I know it looks like we're down and out right now, and it certainly feels that way, but just don't lose faith. Jim Jordan's not giving up. As far as I could see now, the news reporting on this is confusing. As of right now, Jim Jordan's not giving up. And listen, I don't think Jim Jordan is some kind of, I don't think he's like, he's a good guy, man. Jim Jordan is solid. He's certainly better than McCarthy. Is he going to go in there and arrest Joe Biden and impeach him? And is he going to go in here and do all the stuff that we want done? No, it's not. But we definitely will get more wins than what McCarthy was going to give us, because McCarthy was just a little piece in this giant game of chess. That is all. Kevin McCarthy was all part of the plan. And you see how these people react when there's a glitch in their plan. They freak out. These people had to take a week off of work to sit and come up with another plan, to figure out, to strategize around this, talking to their consulting firms, talking to the people at the bars. There's literally reports coming out where donors were drunk at bars around Washington, D.C., openly bribing Congress people, making deals for votes because of this whole Jim Jordan thing. Yeah, that is actually happening. You have lobbyists and donors in Washington, D.C. right now. The consulting firms, all the special interests, the lobbyists, they're all there trying to cut deals and trying to get a control of this situation, because they just found out that they're not as strong as they thought they were, because the American people are onto their case. And if these Republicans don't realize what time it is, they're going to lose their party. The Republican Party will go the way of the Whigs. That's exactly what Chip Roy said. You're watching the destruction of the Republican Party right now. If these people do not allow the American people to have control of their party, they will lose every single election. And you know what? They're completely fine with that. These people do not care, because it's all part of the system. They don't care. Just so long as they get the big fancy steak dinners, just so long as they get the seats at Boeing and Lockheed Martin, they could care less, because they're the controlled opposition. But what they don't realize is they're not going to have the big steak dinners. Once their steak dinners and their board seats are at risk, you'll see these people start making some changes real quick. And I think in these past couple of weeks, they just realized just how exposed they were to losing that. And it's not over yet. If these establishment rhinos continue on to the destruction of this country while lying to the American people and telling them that their party stands for fiscal responsibility, they will lose their party, because the American people are not buying it at all. They see right through this stuff. Right through it. So I want to get one more thing in before we got to go. I know we're coming up to an hour here. So this just came out at 7 p.m. Breaking: 2 separate attacks on U.S. bases in Syria are being reported following missile and drone attack by Iranian-backed terror group. So only moments ago, the Gateway Pundit reported on 2 to 3 missiles that were fired from Iranian-backed terror group Houthis in Yemen. The USS Carney, a U.S. Navy destroyer on the coast of Yemen in the Red Sea, intercepted the missiles. According to Open Source Intelligence Monitor, Pentagon Press Secretary Brigadier General Pat Ryder has confirmed that the USS Carney did shoot down 3 land attack cruise missiles, as well as several drones launched by Houthi forces in Yemen last night over the Red Sea. I'm telling you, folks, we are on our way. This administration and the military-industrial complex, and yes, the Republicans in the Uniparty, are walking this country right into World War III. and I've been saying it for months. We are in the beginning days of World War III. I know you people are probably tired of hearing me say it, but I want to say it because I want to be on record. I want the American people to realize that we are in the beginning days of World War III. And when they look back on these days, 10, 15 years from now, they're going to say, man, I can't believe we didn't see it coming. And you're going to be able to say, but we did see it coming. We were trying to stop it, but we couldn't because the Uniparty, the military-industrial complex, and the Washington, D.C. swamp refused to let the American people have control of their government. And this government walked us right into World War III. So when there's all types of death and destruction, when Americans are dying overseas again for another 20 years again, when there's $8 trillion spent again, adding to the $33 trillion in debt we already have again, that maybe, just maybe, the corrupt Washington establishment should allow the American people to have control of their government. I think Joe Biden needs to come out. I think Congress needs to come out and ask the American people. You know that thing called democracy? Say, hey, what do you guys think about sending $100 billion? What do you guys think about sending $20 billion? Or what do you guys think about spending $1 trillion in another war? What do you guys think about going to World War III? I guarantee you every single one of those questions, the overwhelming majority of Americans will say no. But are these people going to do that? No. They're going to do what they think is going to benefit them, not us, not this country, whatever benefits their cause, their agenda, and their wallets, and their stock portfolio. That is it. These people are no longer in it for the betterment of this country, but for the betterment of themselves. Point, period, and blank. And I just hope to God more people wake up and see this, because in 13 months or 14 months, whenever the election is, if Democrats win this, if the corrupt Washington establishment cheats the American people and rigs another one of their elections, this whole thing we got going on with the inflation, the interest rates, it's going to collapse. The whole damn thing is going to collapse. I hate to be a Debbie Downer at the end of the show here, but folks, I'm trying to find positivity out of all this, but I can't, because I feel like, you know, when you're in a dream and like you're trying to punch somebody and it just feels like your arms are going nowhere and you're punching as hard as you can, but you're just not going anywhere, or you're running down a hall and you're just running as fast as you can, but it just seems like you're running in place and the person behind you just catching up, gaining on you and gaining on you. That's how I feel. That's how a lot of Republicans feel. I haven't met one Republican that has said, yes, the Republican Party's doing great. Not one. I haven't heard one American say that this country is going in the right direction. Not one. And I'm talking Biden voters too. Biden voters aren't voting for Joe Biden because they know that this is unsustainable. Why? Because the American people are not dumb. Like, the American people can see exactly what's going on, and they're trying to get control. They're trying to stop this place from going over a cliff, but these people refuse to hand over the levers of power. They just won't do it. They refuse to remove their crusty, decrepit, corroded hands off the levers of power and give it back to the American people so that the American people can save their country. They refuse. So we're just going to have to ride this out. But in the meantime, I'm going to inform you, I'm going to inform my listeners and expose these people for exactly what they are. And in the meantime, we're going to do everything we can to get our country back, to get control of this party and actually be an opposition party to the Democrats, not controlled opposition. And so this is why I'm going to get on here every day. I'm going to expose these people. I'm going to keep you updated with the wars going on, which I think I'm going to create a segment of the podcast dedicated to World War III. I think I'm going to call the podcast. I'll even start a whole new show. We should start a whole new show dedicated to World War III. We'll call it, I don't know. We'll call it something. I don't know. Let me know what you think. Come up with a name. And we'll do it. We will start a segment of the show dedicated to talking about World War III and strategizing. We'll go through what money's being spent. I'll even get a damn map in here. I will get a map and we will map the whole damn thing out. And we'll do it on a new segment. And that sounds like a pretty good idea. So send me some ideas for a name and we'll do it at StevenTaurielloShow@gmail.com. Send me some ideas. Let me know if you even like the idea. I don't know. I think being how I think that's probably going to be the future, let's ride this thing out, baby. And we'll go from there. That's StevenTaurielloShow@gmail.com. Also, I'll leave all the research materials and the news topics of today's show in my podcast description, so you guys can go back and read it. Definitely read it, because I didn't get too deep in a lot of these articles because they were huge, because we had to move on quick to keep the show short. I want to keep it under an hour. So definitely go in, read the articles, get up to date with all this stuff so that we can stay informed. Informed people make the best decisions. Uninformed people make bad decisions. And right now, we are watching what happens when you have bad decision after bad decision after bad decision being made. You get led right into global conflict and possibly even global annihilation. And then you get high interest rates, high inflation, the collapse of your economy, the collapse of your culture, the collapse of your country. This is what happens when bad decisions are made over and over again because no lessons were learned. So we have a lot of stuff to talk about. Obviously, there's no shortage of things to talk about. So I'm going to be working on the next show right after this. I'm not sure what we're going to be talking about yet, but I'm sure tomorrow is going to give us plenty to talk about. I'm sure this speaker fight is going to be in the mix somewhere, some way, and I just hope Jim Jordan doesn't give up. Hang in there, dude. You got this, and the American people have your back. If Kevin McCarthy can stay in for 15 votes, I think Jim Jordan should at least do that. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, as always, I want you guys to have a good day, have a good Friday, TGIF. And I will talk to you guys on Saturday and Sunday. God bless you, and God bless America. You guys have a good day. Bye-bye.